Yeah. All right. So feel free to continue answering that do now in the chat if you'd like. But we're going to go to the next slide. Once again, I'm Dale Novella Anderson Lee. I am a singer, songwriter, music producer, and educator. And I believe that music can change the world. And so for over 10 years now, probably, I've been doing events since 2011 and producing music and writing for other artists since 2011. I've produced music and events that discuss social issues. And as an educator, I teach youth in New York City how to translate their beliefs into music and poetry. I teach adults how to incorporate social justice and social emotional learning into their arts curriculums. So I'm the director of Teaching Artists Project, and that is the program that is hosting tonight. We are also a part of the TAP Alliance. We have a group of organizations that we collaborate on workshops like this for the teaching artist community. So what's Teaching Artists Project? If you don't know, we are a comprehensive training and internship program for working artists who desire to incorporate social justice and social emotional learning into their teaching practice. The program entails a transformative 8-month curriculum rich in social justice-based pedagogy that also provides supervised on-the-job experience. We are a program of Community Word Project, or CWP, a 501c3 that uses creative writing and multidisciplinary arts as a necessary element of public school education to ensure that young people have the chance to envision, invest in, and build a community different from the one failing to meet their needs. Or the one that they're currently in, if they so choose. So our agenda for today, my hopes and dreams for you all is that you will be able to reflect on how your own pedagogies inform your branding. You will develop an elevator pitch to use in networking situations, whatever situation applies to you. And you will know how and where you want to brainstorm by the end of this session. Those might sound like lofty ideas, but that is my hopes and dreams for you all. And guiding questions are: what is your brand identity and why is it important? And how can we network naturally and effectively? Once again, if you do not have anything to take notes on, please grab that real quick. Feel free to take care of your bodies if you need to move around, if you need to grab water, if you need to step away. All of that is fine. If you'd like, you can put up, if you're away from your screen, I can't see it right now, but I have a little, I like to put the little coffee cup in the corner that says away. You can do that if you'd like, or just say in the chat like BRB. So first we'll define networking and why we network. I'll give some tips for networking, unpacking and branding with elevator pitches, role play in breakout rooms, reflection, and close. And we'll also have a couple like reflections in breakout rooms before we get to number 4 as well. During this session, you'll get a couple handouts. There are QR codes, and I'll also put the links in the chat, and you can just download them on your own. I don't have them in a place where you can like easily access them, so it's preferable that you download it, but you'll have the slideshow and you'll be able to go back and click on it from there. All right. So, enough of the jazz. Sorry if y'all are enjoying that. I like music playing when I start workshops because sometimes people be late. And it helps set the mood, whatever mood you want for the workshop. Sometimes people come in, they're very angry. It's the end of the day. And it's like they hear something funky or they hear something jazzy. It changes the vibe. All right. So how do we intentionally network? What is branding? What is networking? What are all these things? Why is it important to us, especially those in education? Why is it important to artists? That's a question I have to ask I have to answer all the time when I am teaching these types of things. All right, we have three definitions here. Can I have three voices? Well, they're short. Can I have one voice, one additional voice to help me read these definitions?
Sure.
Ready? Oh, I saw Renee's hand first. Nazar, can you get the next time I ask someone to read, I'll call on you. Thanks.
Okay. Branding, the promotion of a particular product or company by means of advertising and distinctive design. Networking is the action or process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts, sorry. Why do we network? Networking is important because it increases your visibility, improves access to job opportunities, and creates relationships. Your network is a source of helpful information, feedback, and advice.
Yes, thank you, Renee. So that's why we're here. A lot of people, like I said, like a lot of artists don't feel like they're like, I don't have a brand, I just have an artist, I just am. And I was like, that in itself is a brand. Like that nonchalance is also a brand. And if you don't already have like a color palette and all that comes in mind, just have branding everything or having everything in your favorite color ends up being a brand. Oh, hi there. So we have branding, networking, and why do we network? And let's get into a little bit about where to network. So most of this information is based on my own experiences. I try to like back it up with a lot of resources that I've found that, but all of our experiences are helpful, I think. And if there's something in here that you're like, that doesn't work for me, feel free to share in the chat. Because I think like when I was younger and I was told one way to network, it was not very helpful for me because I'm very introverted, and I will get back to that a little later. But what I have found is where to network is start with who you already know, your friends and family, places you are already working. That doesn't necessarily mean you only stay with their in the places that you're comfortable, but start there. Maybe if you know a friend is hosting any kind of event, make sure you're there, talk to one extra person. Identify businesses or people doing similar things as you. Where do they network? Who are they working with? The goal is not to take their resources, but to identify what companies, communities may still need your services and what it could look like in the future. So you're not trying to like steal somebody's bag. You're not, you're just seeing how could you potentially move? Like what is a flow for you? Know yourself and what spaces make you comfortable. If you are uncomfortable in a space, you will not network effectively. So this is kind of the opposite of what you usually hear, right? You usually hear get comfortable being uncomfortable, but I think you should find a space of comfort and do uncomfortable things in it. So if you go to a bar, open mic, conference or something that you're like, I know I always go to this place. Like maybe you should talk to a couple people that you don't know. You just think you like their outfit. Something small. And just say like, hey, that was a great speech. Or, oh, I love your shoes. Something you're comfortable there, you do something uncomfortable, or vice versa. You're uncomfortable in the space, like for me, because I'm introverted, I find a corner and I sit there and I examine who am I going to talk to? How am I going to approach them? Um, and it could just be like, hey, I like your shoes. And then that could lead into something else. Or, hey, that was a beautiful dance you did. And that's it. My name's Dale. You know, last but not least, don't hesitate to follow up with someone. Sending a warm personal note is always great. I always forget this part unless I have like a project that's at the back of that's like in the very forefront of my mind. And I go back and I say like, hey, remember that project we talked about at this event? Blah, 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 blah. But it is nice to just say like, hey, it was great to meet you. Whether that's an email or text, however you got in contact with them. Ooh, this is a lot of text. So I'm going to take two voices. Maybe let's do four. I know Nazra, I like shut you down a little earlier, but feel free to take number one. Can I get three other voices? If not, Nazra, can you take the top two and I'll do the bottom two?
Sure.
I can do it. I can do it too.
Okay, awesome. Uh, Taya, can you take three and four, and then Nazra, you do one and two?
Okay. Focus on learning. Concentrate on the positives, how it's going to help you boost the knowledge and skills that are needed in your job. And the activity will begin to seem much more worthwhile. Identify common interests. When your networking is driven by substantive shared interests you've identified through serious research, it will feel more authentic and meaningful, and is more likely to lead to relationships that have those qualities too.
Thank you, Nazra.
Number three, think broadly about what you can give. Even when you don't share an interest with someone, you can probably find something valuable to offer by thinking beyond the obvious. You might also have unique insights or knowledge that could be useful to those with whom you are networking. For example, junior people are often better informed than their senior colleagues about generational trends and new markets and technologies. Find a higher purpose. Any work activity becomes more attractive when it's linked to a higher goal. So frame your networking in those terms. We've seen this approach help female executives overcome their discomfort about pursuing relationships with journalists and publicists. When we remind them that the women's attention that would
Women's
result
voices.
from voice.
Sorry.
Sorry, sorry, I get. When we remind them that women's voices
Voices.
are underrepresented in business, and that the media attention that would result from their building stronger networks might help counter gender biases. Their deep-seated reluctance often subsidize. Sorry,
No worries. It's great.
non-native.
So that last point though about women's voices, like it can be very hard to network. For me, I know I'm a shorter woman as well. There are certain biases in our society that are just going to make it harder to network. A lot of people do not take me seriously when I'm like, I'm a director of an education program. They're like, you're just got out of college. Like, what do you mean? It's like, no, I'm just 5'1". That's it. I'm actually old. I drink water. I mind my business. I look young. Like that's actually what it is. It has nothing to do with being young or unexperienced or inexperienced. Yeah, people automatically assume because you're short, you're very young. It's like you stop growing after a certain age. Like that's not. Um, so that workaround is just depending on who you are and depending on where you network, there might be different societal things that come into play that make it a little harder to network. And you just have to have a real talk with yourself about whether it's worth it or not. Is that higher purpose worth the discomfort or the demeaning behavior? Like maybe they're just not your people, and it doesn't matter how many, my guy friends can tell me to go somewhere until the cows come home. But I'm like, if all these musicians are sexist, I don't want to be around them. They're not the people that I want to network with. So you have to have that talk with yourself. All right. I said how to network as an introvert. This is some of the things that I kind of like tapped into this a little bit. But this is an infographic that's in one of the resources that's clickable in your packet. And a couple of those things are ask questions and listen. I think that's very helpful, especially if you're at conferences. Um, like trying to sign up for all the speed dating at conferences that they do, so that you don't have to like talk in big groups and actually like try to peel someone from the group. Inviting a friend or colleague to join. that can be really helpful. Sometimes it can also be a hindrance because you can just use them as a crutch the whole time. Knowing what friend is going to help you get out of your bubble or what friend isn't going to allow you to be a crutch is a good thing. Try online networking events that can feel more comfortable for you, and set simple goals for yourself. And like I was saying earlier, go somewhere that you're comfortable and do something uncomfortable there. It could be as simple as just saying, like, I loved your performance, I love your shoes. That could open up into a new conversation about something else. Okay, so first activity, this is a journal moment. So if you don't have like a physical journal, that's fine. If you have like a digital or you just want to like reflect on your own, I'm going to give y'all 5 minutes to just think about where do you want to network and why, if there's already places you're going or places you've been thinking about going, and what is your networking personality. And it's okay if that's not like your quote unquote real personality, because some of us are actors, some of us are in the theater, and it just feels like you're like, I can go act. So that's also fine. So if you feel like, oh, that's not my real personality, if it's comfortable for you, then that's I think that's fine. So do you like small talk? These are some of the things you can ask yourself in your head. Do you like small talk? Do you want to gain more information about the person or org that you want to network with? Do you want to show off your art and only talk about your art? Because those kinds of questions can help you decide where you're going to network. So, any questions? See, so after this 5 minutes, we'll give a little bit of time just for any comments and if you want to share anything from your journal moment. But I'll put 5 minutes on the clock and y'all can scribble away. Right. Bring your writing to a close. And I wanted us to have a quick moment where if you want to share anything that you wrote about, feel free to give a couple thoughts. Tiny, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I do. For me, well, first I'm gonna start with my personality. When I'm networking, I'm kind of an open person. My favorite line, and a lot of people that know me, I always say hi because I feel like that's super like, oh, she's nice, she's welcoming kind of thing. I'd like to show that I'm friendly. I don't really like small talk because I feel like every time that when I have a conversation and I'm networking, it always gets drifted to something else that I'm like, no, because then my mind focuses on other things. So I just like to like have it like straight to the point. Like, what do I want from you? Am I interested into your organization? That kind of thing. I'm like, just tell me all of that, and so I could be either invested or not. I always do like to mention like at all kinds of theater and like like I work with troubled youth, that kind of population. Just so then like it gives people an idea of like the battles that I can like face from time to time. And the only thing that I do, like if it does like go a little left, I do like just to mention like, yeah, I'm an actor, kind of, sort of ish, and I wrote a film. But it's not too much to talk on that, so it's just like it's like short and sweet kind of thing. And where do I want to network? I want to network with people who work in jails or work with troubled youth, so I can maybe learn different tools or things that help them, so it could better me as a teacher. I want to network with other programs who offer paid apprenticeships or even paid opportunities for youth. Just because I come across a lot of youth and I work with youth from ages 12 to 24. So just working in that population is like, yeah, everybody needs a stepping stone, and some kind of like a little money on the side didn't hurt nobody. So, like just to get those opportunities so I could share with the youth. And that's it.
Cool. Thank you, Tiny.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to share a couple things from their writing? We have time for maybe two more voices, and then I'll put y'all in breakout rooms to discuss some more.
I can speak.
Sure.
So I usually, if I do network, I don't know if it's considered to be it's kind of a networking, I guess, for like gallery openings. I usually try to go to gallery openings that obviously the people I know, and then it's easier and less stressful, but sometimes you'll find yourself in the room like when you don't really know many people, and sometimes it really depends. Sometimes like it's easy to find someone to talk with, sometimes it's just like super awkward and no one really talks to you and they just talk in their own groups and you just like stay in there. I guess you just can move on, but like overall that's where I usually network. And then in terms of personality style, I think for the most part, I would be more comfortable hearing about someone else's work. So I don't come across as someone who like wants to talk about their own stuff, or it could be a little bit of everything on the list. Just depending on how you see like where the conversation goes. As long as you feel like someone else like wants to talk to you, I'm like fine with any of those options. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, so I have a couple of questions for y'all for breakout rooms. You can share a little bit about what you wrote about, but also just through the questions that are still coming up for you. So I'm going to put those in the chat. So what questions are coming up for you around networking? And what tips do you have for each other about networking, if any? What have you learned? Outside of this, what have you experienced? Things like that. Anything that's coming up. All right. So there are a couple rooms of two and there's a couple rooms of two or three. So hopefully y'all have A nice conversation is going to be for about 10 minutes. Cool. And if not, y'all can just sit there. Y'all can just be like, okay, we're done. I'm going to go get coffee. All right. I'm opening the rooms in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Room that was helpful. And you can put it in the chat or say it out loud.
I something Ming and I discussed and agreed on was like how one-on-one interactions are a lot easier as opposed to like navigating larger groups. And so, yeah, we just spoke about like how we can like strategies like to settle our nerves because we spoke about like I feel like as artists, oftentimes like in our shared experience, we spoke about how when we read the room, like sometimes we'll like absorb the whatever like lingering energy is present in the room and internalize it, which is something I feel like sometimes I'll just like cocoon. I don't know if I feel like it's like a tense vibe or if I'm being like scrutinized, and it could be completely just like my internal monologue driving it. But yeah, so yeah, like I feel like the strategies you gave were really helpful, like icebreakers, but like in a sincere way. And like we also spoke about how like it's easier navigating one-on-one interactions because it's easier to speak with more candor, like as opposed to like making yourself vulnerable like in a group setting without really knowing if it's like a safe space to share. And yeah, I don't know if you want to expand on anything, Ming. I feel like we spoke about a lot of different things.
Yeah, we were also talking about like networking online, like for example, Instagram, commenting, online residency. Residencies are nice because you get to meet each other for more time, for a longer time span. It's easier to build connections.
Yeah. Thank y'all for sharing. Okay, Tiny says in my group, I talked with Taya, uh, and one takeaway for me was that sometimes as an artist, we can be in our own mind. Yeah. Sometimes that can be a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. Like sometimes you're in your own mind because you're inspired by like the atmosphere. And then sometimes like I know I used to, when I first started networking as a songwriter and I was looking for other artists to work with, I used to turn my introvertedness into just like bitchiness. I used to, so I would just like have on like, very lightly tinted sunglasses and like sit in the back and like be very like mysterious. That was a very long time ago. It's like I'm really tired of that persona, but yeah, I mean, it worked. People wanted to work with me. They were like, "Ooh, she's mysterious." So here's that. All right. If temperature check, does anyone need to take like a stretch break, bathroom break, body break? Can have a couple minutes, or we can move on to the next portion.
I need to take a bathroom break.
Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break. It's right at 6:50, so we'll come back at 6:55. All right, see y'all then. Welcome back, everyone. And just like before, please feel free throughout the rest of the workshop to take care of your bodies. I know I have it scheduled until 8, but I'm going to try to get you out of here a little earlier. The next portion is more about like brainstorming and getting those elevator pitches written along with some other helpful tools. So unpacking your brand and pitching it. Okay. First thing, let's reflect. So let's take a few moments to reflect on what you do as an artist and educator. So feel free to close your eyes and imagine your ideal teaching scenario. This includes the age group, the location, the subject, the style of teaching, etc. Everything about your ideal teaching situation. And take a couple minutes to write down some notes describing that ideal situation. So it can just be like real quick chicken scratch. If you don't want to write it down, that's absolutely fine. You can just like think it through. And we'll do exactly 1 minute. Start wrapping up your writing. All right. So before we get into our elevator pitches, we just have to have like a concrete idea of what you do. And I guess it's fine if you're still figuring out. It's not, I guess. I know it's fine if you're still figuring out. You can write down something and then tomorrow you might realize that what you wrote down was not true. Or 3 months from now, you're like, that was true, but I don't want to do it anymore. All of that is fine. But having that reflection process so that you know what you want to do and are continuing to do is important. So we did a little quick reflection. I'm going to introduce y'all to this worksheet. This is the Teaching Artist Statement and Values worksheet. And we've been using this in TAP for a few years. I've adjusted it over the years to add a couple more things that are very specific to like marketing and branding. So we have our values, forces and crafts. So your creative elements, what are the things that inspire you? That includes like tangible and non-tangible things. So not just like creative ancestors who came before you in your art form or your bloodline or your culture, the crafts that you use in class, the physical things, the skills, the vocabulary, all of that. Social issues, what you care about. Colors and shapes that relate to your core values. Now, this is something that trips people up. They're like, why do I need to know that? I mean, if we think about it in a networking, just for networking, and we're not thinking about like logo, visuals, things like that, we're thinking just of networking, knowing what colors you feel powerful in can be helpful with networking. Like, I'm definitely one of those people where I'm like, if my outfit's a little off, I'm a little off. But wearing my favorite color, wearing a bright lip makes me feel really good. So I know I'm going to be more myself when I have a bright lip on and some big earrings. I love really big earrings. I actually had like pearls on earlier. You can barely even see these things on Zoom, but they're rather large. And I had some small pearl earrings. I was like, I'm changing. I'm changing. So think about colors and shapes that relate to your core values, or just to you specifically. Your mission statement, you can leave this blank for now if you want, or you can do like some chicken scratch real quick, whatever comes to mind, or because down at the bottom is a place for your bio. And all of these questions help like develop a mission statement a little bit better. So right now you can leave that blank if you'd like. So the what, when, why, where, who is what's most important. Dreaming big, thinking about your values as a teaching artist. What kind of program would you like to create? So write a few words in each category, or like just like I like to say word vomit it. Write down as much as possible. If you've worked on something like this before and you have a draft, feel free to take a look at that draft as well. And then you can update or keep what you need to, maybe change the wording, maybe you realize that that's not actually what I do, so on and so forth. This is all brainstorming. Nothing is like permanent, right? And the last thing is the bio. But the questions are what's important to you? What's important to create, to teach? Who do you want to create with slash teach? Students, adults, ages? Where do you want to create? What environment, what space, what physical location? How do you create? How do you teach? So that can be the methodology. Why is this work important to you? So once you have all those, then you can kind of make more of a mission statement, or you can pull from your bio, so on and so forth. I do also have an example for you. And actually, just a little bit about my journey. It is super hard for me to do stuff like this for myself. I can do it for other people. I have done it for businesses that I've worked at. I've done a million of these for TAP, and everyone like gets like the rest of CWP is so annoyed with me because I'm like, it's on our artist statement. You need to be looking at our artist statement. Why are you using the bio that's not on our artist statement? That's the one from last year. You need to use that. Like, and it's super duper hard for me to write this myself. So we'll go through it and then I'll tell you some of the things I did to help me write and help me get like really in out of my head so I could write it for myself. So my values and forces: funk as a genre, as a musical genre, danceability, rhythm, breath, flow, vibe, and scaffolding. Because I'm a yoga instructor, and that's what I'm like, it needs to flow, it needs to flow. Even if I'm not teaching yoga. Cultural pride, freedom, play. Colors and shapes that relate to my core values: gold, neon pink, navy blue, emerald green, water, and sound waves. They show up a lot in my imagery. Also, for a long time, I was using just like the Pan-African colors, black, green, and red on like everything, just different shades of them because of cultural pride. I'm African American, so artist mission statement. I have 3 here. This can also be your elevator pitch, so that's another reason why you can come back to it. The original one I put that it was just like chicken scratch was: my mission is to create music that is funky and has a message. I want to feel free on stage. I want to bring people together through musical experiences, songwriting workshops, sound baths, panel discussions, and podcasts. So that was like my word vomit version. And then these are more like structured in an elevator pitch style. And I'll read this one because I don't think it is anywhere. I'm a singer, songwriter, music producer, and educator. This is what I read earlier. I believe music can change the world, and so for over 10 years, I've produced music and events that discuss social issues. As an educator, I teach youth in New York City how to translate their beliefs into music and poetry, and I teach adults how to incorporate social justice and social emotional learning into their arts curriculums. So you can word vomit it with like 2 run-on sentences. Don't feel afraid. This is just like, I made it very, the way I wrote mine was very like point by point by point. It's important for me to do this. It's important for me to do this. So just like objectives, like you would on a lesson plan, it's important for me to encourage a fun atmosphere. It's important for me to have a supportive atmosphere that fosters vulnerability. It's important to encourage self-love and kindness to oneself. So when I did how do you teach, because I think, and it's worded a little differently on the sheet that I'm gonna share the link for y'all, but they're similar. And I thought about the way I create my workshops are kind of scaffolded the same ways I scaffold my songwriting sessions with other songwriters. So this is more like how I would do in a class, how I would do it in class. And this is more like when I'm writing with someone else. We identify a theme, we sit there and talk about it, we listen to inspiration based on that theme. We kind of make a word list and phrases, and we even stop and can look up more inspiration around those words and phrases that we're brainstorming. Then if we don't already have a beat, I might pull out like my keyboard or get into Logic Pro X, map out a beat, and then we start working on a melody. If I'm working with a rapper, then they start like writing along to the beat as it plays. So that's, meditation, inspiration, brainstorming, small group work, create, share. And then why is this work important? Once again, it's like those bullet points. This is what worked for me, so I could like just get it out, but it doesn't have to look like this for you. Yeah, and then down here I put my bio. Another thing I will admit, a few months ago, I took a workshop for songwriters, for singer-songwriters, that was supposed to help us like kind of get our heads and put together our own like brand kit, things like that. And we had to study like different archetypes. And that really helped me like trying to like put my own natural personality into these archetypes. And then if you don't have a problem with AI, I went into AI and I was like, I am this archetype and this is my bio, and then create a brand kit based on this. And I looked at the suggestions. I took those suggestions and like fine-tuned them into what I wanted. So you can cheat like that. AI is also probably ruining the planet, one of the many things that is ruining the planet. But if you think it'll be helpful for you, I'm not going to tell you not to use it. So I'm going to put a link in the chat to the template. Feel free to download it. It is in the chat. It should be a PDF you can download, and then you can just look at it and write into your journal, or you can put it into, if you want to put it into Google Docs, if you use Google Docs. If not, that's also fine. But if you put it in Google Docs, you can open it as a Google Doc, and then you can actually write in it. So is everyone able to download the PDF? Awesome, thank you. All right, I'm gonna give y'all 5 minutes. Does anyone have questions before we okay, cool. So we'll have 5 minutes. Is music okay? Awesome. bring your writing to a close. You can always come back to it if you're not finished. All right. So we talked a little bit about this, but this, I'm not going to show. I mean, if you're really interested in like one of these videos, it's like a minute long. I don't agree with everything in it, but it's here for you if you want to check it out. I think both of these are linked. But you have to press the title. So once you get the PDF, you can do that. So what is your, I skipped ahead. Y'all already did this. Would anyone like to share a couple of the colors that you came up with for on your teaching artist statement? Tiny.
I can say the colors that came up for me were like power colors. So like gold, like like royalty color, like a purplish. But then I also like lavender, so I'll say maybe like a lavender color, or maybe like I also like pink. So if I also create a program, it would be like feminine colors, but like also like light colors, if that makes sense, kind of thing. I feel like I'll pick those.
Yeah, I can see that. Thank you for sharing, Tiny. Would anyone else like to share about their colors or anything that they put on their sheet that they want to shout out? Yes.
It's interesting. I don't know who's okay. I don't know who was next.
Uh, I saw, actually, I don't know what you want me to call you. Should I call you Dr. Marcus or Dr. Andrea?
Oh,
Andrea.
yes, please. And this is what my Zoom is. I'm Andrea. Thank you.
Andrea.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for that. So my favorite colors are green, yellow, and black. They happen to be the Jamaican flag, which I am Jamaican, but that's not how it started. Or is it? It's so magical. Green was always my favorite color growing up, and I always love yellow flowers, yellow roses and daffodils, and black, well, duh, because I'm here. So I sort of wrote about that and all of that. So thank you.
I love that. Thank you for sharing, Andrea. And back to you, Taya. Thank you for waiting.
No, I was just gonna mention that it's funny that my colors were exactly as Tiffany's. Yeah, very similar, like even the way she described them. I was like, is it because we were like in a small group? It's funny, like I was like, why is that? But that's what I want to share.
That's cool. So y'all started to do a little mind melding.
Yeah, probably
We're in sync now. We're in sync.
thinking.
All right. Thank y'all for sharing. I'm going to make sure I have the right slide up. Oh, I do want to just share. I think everyone's gotten a good idea of like images and colors and things like that. But the example I gave was the Black Power Fist for civil rights. Every time you see that, even if it's not like in black, you know that you know, it's like fight the power, right? So it could be a rainbow, it could be a light skinned hand, it could be a red fist, and these all mean different things, but it's like, oh, there's a civil rights issue that this organization is fighting for, right? Whenever you see that, like, or it could be a black fist on a different color background, and then they're fighting for something very specifically. Okay, so this is why you're all here. So I'm assuming that y'all know what an elevator pitch is, but just to make sure we cover the basis and have that shared language. Elevator pitches are a short but effective explanation that is intended to persuade someone to buy a product or accept an idea. As artists, we're the product. Like as icky as that might sound, we have to kind of accept that people are buying into the idea of us as like our expertise in what we do. We are the product. So an elevator pitch is marketing ourselves, right? How to create a successful elevator pitch. First, you need to have a good understanding of your own capabilities, which you kind of just brainstormed about, right? Limitations and advantages. We didn't get into that yet, but it's always good to know because you also, as you go on in life, you're going to need to outsource certain things. So you need to know what your limitations are instead of trying to get bogged down being everything to that all the time. After that, you are ready to create a great elevator pitch that looks at the needs of your target audience and addresses the why change question, looks at why customers need to do something different. Like, why do they need to hire you? You are the thing that's different, right? All right. So can I have a couple voices to read, at least one other voice to read, maybe talk about the solution. I'll do the first one, and then someone to read talk about the solution. I can do create a roadmap.
I can go.
Okay, sweet. So I'll do make clear introductions. So here's some important structural pointers for creating a successful elevator pitch. One, make clear introductions. Begin by making it crystal clear to your audience exactly what you are selling. After all, this is the entire point of the meeting, or yeah, is the entire point that you're up in their face or just like, nudging them a little bit at the party. Make it clear that you know what your business is all about and how your offerings can directly address the needs of the audience, of the person that you're talking to. Nazra.
Talk about the solution. If you had all the time in the world, talking about the problem would be fine, but you don't. When you're limited on time, there's no room for redundancy. Chances are, if you've been invited for a meeting, then the customer is already well aware of the problem they have. They don't need you to tell them what is needed. Instead, what they're really interested in hearing is how you can solve this problem for them. Acknowledge the problem to show understanding, but don't dwell on the struggles of the business.
Yes, thank you, Nazra. Yeah, like if you're talking to someone who's and you want a job and they're looking for a writing teacher and you're a writer, it's like, I heard that you're looking for a writing teacher. Well, I do da, 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 in this way. Next, create a roadmap. Audiences want to know about the solution, but that's not all. They also want to know that solution will fit into their business. Now is the time to touch upon the idea of marketer. Discussing the marketing roadmap that will show how the solution will integrate with existing practices and processes. So I feel like that's really important when you're thinking about pitching to an organization. Like if you're, well, when you're pitching to organizations, right? If it's one-on-one and you're just trying to make connections, and you know exactly how you fit in. If it's like just cold calling and you're at a networking event and you're not really sure exactly what all of the points are, that might be a little harder to do. Harder to like say, oh, this is how I fit in. But in a longer networking or a more planned out networking situation, it's easier to say, this is how I can help you. So we're going to get into elevator pitches in a minute. I've read a couple. I did not read this one yet. So hello, I'm Dale Novella, a singer-songwriter who builds creative spaces to showcase political art. That includes events, podcasts, and workshops for youth and adults. I believe the arts help smooth out conversations that may be tense in other environments and can help bridge divides. I've done this as both an independent artist and as a teaching artist and administrator with Community Word Project and various other organizations in New York City. You can find out more about my work by visiting my website, dalenovellapresents.com. That's an example. So now should be the time for y'all to write your own elevator pitch. So you should be able to scan the QR code and it will take you to this template. I can also put the template in the chat, so you can just download it from there. All right, so this is fill in the blank. I think I've used versions. I think I originally wrote out like template number 1 for some high school students that I was working with in a podcasting residency, I believe. And then I try to adjust it for TAP, for Teaching Artist Project. So it can be super helpful. I have 2 templates here. One is, I think, it's a little bit more meaty, but with any sentence starter, make it your own. With any template, make it your own. There are suggestions down at the bottom with what to put in the blanks. But if that doesn't feel good to you, you don't have to follow that. Just go with the flow. You can try it once exactly the way the template asks, and then you can try it a different way. But I will give y'all 5 minutes to come up with an elevator pitch. And then I believe we're going to go back into breakout rooms and try it with each other. So, does anyone have any questions before I let y'all write? Okay, cool. You have 5 minutes. I'll put the music back on. You won't see the timer up front. I'm just going to let the template be up, but I will let y'all know as we're counting down. Begin closing out your writing. All right. So now we're going to, now that we have a rough sketch of an elevator pitch, doesn't have to be perfect. Just to have something down, we are going to go back into breakout rooms with someone new, and you can choose a scenario and then play out that scenario. How would it play out for you? So you can be casually chatting at an education conference or for your art form. You could be randomly running into someone you recognize that you casually recognize, like at the park or something like that. That seems to be people's favorite. Like it's very, very, very casual. You could be chatting at a fundraiser or gala and be introduced from a coworker, or you can be introduced after one of your performances or events. So take a couple minutes, decide what is your scenario, and then uh, act it out. Try to be as natural as possible with what you just brainstormed. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to put the directions in the chat and then I'll open the rooms. So those are the scenarios, and then the directions are here. In breakout rooms, role play a scenario where you randomly meet each other and introduce yourselves. Right. So rooms are opening in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Renee.
Yeah, I think for me, I definitely need practice on just like talking about myself. Like I feel like I know what I want to say in my head, and like writing down some stuff was very helpful, like just to like kind of keep my ideas on track. But like as soon as it started to like go off the rails a little bit, I was like, what am I even doing? Like I don't know anything anymore. So I need to like the artist statement worksheet, the one that had like all the values and stuff, is something I'm definitely going to be like taking advantage of in terms of like just trying to like really put down on paper the things that I'm interested in as an artist and as like a future educator. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to more practice with that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Tiny.
For me, it was more of a I had to pick between both sides. Like, do I wanna kind of cheat? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I do work in that sense, but then it's just like, or can I just create something? Like, let me see if I still got it in a sense. And it was like, wow, this is new. And especially, like, I guess I learned a different kind of way of writing, like an elevator pitch kind of thing. So it was just like, wow, to like look at that template and be like, that makes sense, or I could write it this way. And then just creating like my own like little program. I guess I did it like on the side because I was like, I don't want to cheat, I want to like actually see if I could do it. And it helped me because it was just like, wow, like what do I need to say first instead of saying last at the end, or like how quickly do I have to say, or like what is the most important things that I need to say first, kind of thing. So that did help me like a little bit, like, oh, like there's different ways that I can say the same thing, you know what I mean? So it was pretty cool.
Cool. I'm glad it was helpful, Tiny. Would anyone like to share about any other part of the workshop, or maybe ideas that are coming up for you? And if not, that's absolutely fine too.
Yeah, thank you for this. It's all a practice, and I just make the connection too as a dance artist. It's like there's always practice, the pliés, the tendus, the piece to rehearse. It's like you're always practicing. And so thank you for this template and something that I want to practice because I want to be good at my elevator pitch. And just a reminder, practice, practice, practice. So thank you for this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great way to look at it. Yeah. Everything is practice. We're practicing this. It's never going to be, it should never be stagnant, right? Always have to come back, reflect, adjust.
Yeah. I wanted to say I think the elevator speech template it really helps me a lot in structuring, how to approach this topic. But I also have a question
Yeah, sure.
about like elevator pitch. Like, what do you think will be the best situation to give an elevator speech? Is it just like in any event, introducing yourself, or
I feel like the scenarios that I listed out in the role play, I think have actually like happened to me in one way or another. For me, I tend to be a little bit more formal and it actually sounds like a elevator pitch when I go to like conferences. Like I go to the face-to-face conference every year for the last 4 years, which is a great conference. But like my our ED is what I call a quiet extrovert. Like you don't expect her to be extroverted, but like if you go somewhere with her, you're going to be talking the entire time. So going to face with her, she's constantly like, Dale, you must meet this person. Dale, you must meet this. And so like that's where it becomes, hi, I'm Dale Novella. I'm the director of Teaching Artist Project. And like the elevator pitch comes out a little bit more. But I think it's good to have in general. I mean, it could be good just for like family functions. Like if my family doesn't understand what a teaching artist is. So it's like, this is what I do again. Or I guess if you rehearsed it, you don't sound as like annoyed that they've asked you again. What do you do? Like, so I mean, I think it can be helpful in a lot of different situations, but I think I use more of the structure more at conferences. Yeah, conferences.
I see. Thank you for explaining. Because it's like with the writing, it can get very formal and informative. And sometimes, like if I memorize it and then I try to say it in like a very casual conversation, it can seem like a little bit abrupt. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah. And I think going back to the idea of practicing, like have it in your head, and then once it's just like stuck in your head, you can just spit it out any kind of way that's appropriate for the situation, right? Like it doesn't have to sound like very polished. 'Cause if you're at the park, you're in the grocery store, you're at a picnic, or a concert or something like that, it won't sound as formal. So practice.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's so helpful to think about to gain clarity too, to like simplify like what we do, because a lot of times I feel like it's so important to consider, like you said, to modify and amend it depending on the audience. But I just feel like in general to like simplify our language, because that's something like I feel like I'm constantly unlearning, to just move away from art speak, because I feel like it's just something that's like ingrained in school, and I just feel like it can be really off-putting to people who are not in that discipline, to just like really like clarify like our motivation. And I feel like if we speak with sincerity and in like a really clear way, I feel like it'll resonate a lot more universally rather than latching on to like various terminology. And so I feel like, yeah, like the reading through the template, um just through like the blank space, like it was like really meaningful. Yeah, I feel like just for all of us, yeah, to think about like simplifying like what we do and our motivations. Yeah, it's a lot more human. And it's, yeah, like it's always an unlearning, but I'm very grateful.
Awesome. So thank you all for sharing. I do have a link to an evaluation or a feedback form. I'm not going to say evaluation, but if you'd like to leave any feedback, you can click that link in the chat. I'll also gonna go ahead. I lost my slideshow. I can download it now and put it in the chat so that y'all can just download it on your end so you don't have to wait for me to send it to you. Mm. And hopefully it'll actually let me do this because earlier I was trying to upload to Zoom and it wouldn't let me, and I was like, what are you doing? So the PDF version of the slideshow is uploading to the chat now. It should be there in a couple minutes and you'll be able to just download it directly from the chat. And then all those links and things like that, resources, if you want to go back and look at those color theory links. The one with the thumbnail with the very happy looking black man, that's the one that I show to students. Um, that's the one that I recommend if you want to learn more about like color psychology and marketing and things like that. But there's a shorter one that's only a minute long that's like has this weird AI voice. I'm like, it's fine. It's quick. It's a minute. But that's all I have for you today. Give yourselves a round of applause for trying something new. If this was new, if it was old and you just weren't used to it, then you still did something courageous. So, and I appreciate y'all coming tonight. Thank you so much. And I'll see y'all soon. Feel free to email tap at communitywordproject.org if you have any questions. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Del.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Dale.
you.
Thank you so much.
You
Yeah.
have a good night, y'all.
Night.